Today we'll be discussing the value of Apigee and application integration on Google Cloud. And we'll also be taking a look at some of the upcoming capabilities powered by Gemini that will accelerate the time to market for your API and integration initiatives. My name is Aditya, and I'm a customer engineer at Google Cloud. It's my pleasure to introduce my colleagues, Pramod Ramesh, product manager for application integration, and Michael Vakoch, product manager for Apigee, who are my co-presenters today. Before we proceed, a quick level set. If your organization is already using an API management platform in production, could you raise your hand, please? Fantastic. And keep it raised if you're also familiar with integration or automation platforms. Quite a few as well. So it's great to see that most of us in the room are already familiar with API and integration platforms. That tracks with the survey responses we got in our 2023 State of APIs report from Google Cloud. Most organizations were already developing and deploying more APIs and apps than ever before, and generative AI has only accelerated that trend. If you think about it, an LLM is actually an API. When your app needs to use some of the reasoning capabilities of an LLM, it calls its API. When an LLM needs to get some data from your organization or leverage your business capabilities, it calls your API as well. So what this means is that the throughput that APIs are subjected to is going to be more high than ever. There's going to be exponential growth, and there's going to be growing expectations on your developer teams to rapidly and securely and scalably deliver new APIs, right? So in this environment, it's not just enough to be ready for generative AI, but you also want to know how GenAI can actually help you, right? So to solve some of these problems, there's a couple of Google Cloud solutions. For those that are not already familiar, Apigee is Google Cloud solution for full lifecycle API management. Developers can rapidly build, configure, and productionize APIs using familiar and friendly tooling, for example, Visual Studio Code. And if you're a platform owner, then it's very important for you to know the API landscape inside your organization. What are my existing APIs? What are the APIs that are in ideation stage? If an API has been in production for a while, what is the history of its shape, right, over the version changes and releases? So API Hub helps you answer these questions and acts as a single repository. And if you use Apigee Advanced API Security, then you're leveraging the same AI and ML models that work to protect and secure Google's flagship properties like YouTube or Gmail. And with deep integration into the Google infra and ecosystem, Apigee is the product to help you get started with your first API call and stay equally reliable through your billionth. Application integration is the Google Cloud solution that allows low-code automations that seamlessly connect your own APIs, third-party applications, Google Cloud services, on-prem systems, databases, messaging systems, and many more. These integrations can be built with an intuitive drag-and-drop editor, and that includes a powerful programming model. These workflows are very responsive to your business needs in real time because they can be triggered with webhooks or API calls, change data capture events, third-party SaaS events. For example, there's an opportunity that was created in your CRM and Cloud PubSub. And while running, tasks provide visual data mapping, the ability to call out to REST APIs or other integrations, conditionals, loops, variables, human decision points, right? And even JavaScript programming capabilities. And last but not least, if every time you wanted to build an automation, if your developers have to learn the API of some third-party system or figure out how best to interact with the protocol of a database, that's not going to be very scalable. So we have a growing list of dozens of integration connectors that provide out-of-the-box connection capabilities, right? And these are delivered as Google Cloud managed services. So they are secure and resilient and highly scalable. So to recap, Apigee allows you to unlock the data and capabilities with APIs. And with integration, you can create seamless automations. And we're now taking this a step further with generative AI. So with Gemini, our mission is to help unleash the creative potential of assistive AI to reimagine cloud-based experiences. What does that mean, and where does Gemini fit in to what we just discussed? So let me take this moment to announce Gemini Code Assist to design and build APIs and integrations. In Apigee, Gemini Code Assist is seamlessly integrated into the Cloud Console as well as the Cloud plugin. And that allows you to design and build APIs with simple natural language prompts. It also allows you to publish your APIs to be consumed by LLMs, for example, models that are hosted on Vertex AI. In application integration, Gemini Code Assist is integrated into the console experience, where it can convert simple natural language prompts into fully functioning automations. We shall be seeing these capabilities in action momentarily. And what's important to remember in both cases is that Gemini Code Assist is grounded in your enterprise context. And what that means is that it's aware of the available APIs in your system. So you can avoid duplication, and its generated results are standards compliant, right? And in the case of integration, Gemini Code Assist is also fully aware of the existing integrations and connections that you've made with third-party systems. So the intricate, complex data structures that are part of these are also taken into consideration when it generates these integrations. So with that, I'd like to hand over to Michael to demonstrate Gemini Code Assist and the Apigee developer experience.
Awesome. Thanks, Aditya. So before we jump into the demo, let's introduce our fictional company first and the hero of the journeys that we will see, two of them. So today we will be talking about a scenario for a fictitious restaurant chain, Simple Eats. Simple Eats is a fictional restaurant, as I mentioned. It offers takeout and delivery, as well as a dine-in. And online ordering has been very popular ever since the pandemic. But because it has been introduced at the onset of the change of trends to online ordering, there are still some features that are missing. And consumer behaviors is staying. And so the Simple Eats company now wants to introduce a new capability which would allow people to cancel orders and cancel or modify orders during delivery through the app, so that they don't have to call into the restaurant because the restaurants are getting overwhelmed with too many requests from folks. Okay, and the hero of the journey is Hannah. She's a backend engineer who is partnering with the client team to build a new app or a new functionality in the app to support the canceling of the orders or the individual items. She understands the requirements, and she is now going to be ready to design the API, which will act as a contract between the client and the backend server. So now let's see how she goes about it to do it with Apigee. Before we jump into the demo itself, I wanted to show with API Hub, she would start to find APIs that might already serve the purpose, right? She doesn't want to recreate APIs that might already exist, and so she can leverage the new semantic search in API Hub that will allow her to search through the entire API specification of her organizations before she decides to create an application, the new API. In this case, there is no API that would fit her need, so she would actually go into the application itself. All right, let's go. We will switch to the demo. But I need password. Sorry about that. There's security is utmost. All right. So we will switch to the demo. And what you can see here is she can start in the tools and in the workflows that are already working well for her. So I am in Cloud Code, in VS Code, leveraging the Apigee add-on. So in the Apigee add-on, you can see that it's connected to the same API hub where I could have searched through the APIs to find if there is an existing API that already fits my needs. I can just invoke creation of new APIs using the Gemini Code Assist interface. Here I can start from an existing template to get inspiration, or I can just type in myself if I already knew what I want. So as I mentioned, Hannah wants to create a new API for canceling orders. All right. And I hit create. So Gemini is aware of all the APIs that already exist in the organizations, and with some optimizations on the prompt specifications and definitions, it creates an initial draft of an API specification. So what we can see here, there is a few endpoints that were provided, specifically delete and put on orders. So this would allow me to delete an order and update an order. That looks good, but it doesn't allow me to cancel the individual menu items. So let me update the prompt, and I will just say as well, include ability to cancel individual menu items. OK, so now I create a new prompt. I can easily access the old prompts and the old results using the prompt history, so nothing gets lost. And I can see the new one right there with the visual editor. So I will quickly check, and what I can see is that indeed now there is a new endpoint to delete the menu items on the order menu. Now, I mentioned that Gemini leverages and is aware of all the APIs in the API hub. What does it actually mean? So in this specific use case, you can see that the enterprise context has resulted in 6 modifications, and I can use the output panel here to see the details. So I can see that, for example, the order object is already existing in other APIs, and it has just been reused in this API, so that my API endpoints are consistent across my organization, and I don't have different objects representing the same concepts. Same has happened for error, message, and menu item. I can also see that the security has been added to my API specification. If I click a view code here, I can actually see the YAML file of the Open API specification. I can see everything that I can see in the visual viewer. For example, this is the security that has been added to my API. The security has been intelligently sourced by Apigee, by Gemini, by looking at similar APIs in my organization to ensure that the company can provide and keep its security posture across all the APIs. So now, this Cloud Code extension also provides a Cloud Code mock server, which is a local mock server that I can use to interact with this API as I build it to ensure that the data models and data types are returned as I expect. I will just, because I have a security setup, I will just authorize my client. And what you can, I can quickly try it out here. by just supplying this is a mock server, so I will just supply a mock value. You can see this is the mock value for an order. I can also get the curl that I can get, and I will get the response body that the API would respond to me in the real life. So now this is great, and Hannah can work on this API herself. She can iterate as needed. If, however, she wants to collaborate with the front-end team, with the client team, she can as easily create this mock server and deploy it in GCP, right? And so this will create a Cloud Run application, deploy it into my Google Cloud project, and together with the API specification, which I can easily publish to an API hub, just like this, I can share that with the client team, who can then take it and give me further feedback before writing a single line of code. OK, so now let's say that the API contract has been finalized, and I am ready to expose and deploy this API to RPG. You can also easily leverage this API specification to create a local version of a proxy bundle. OK. All right. So I can create a proxy bundle, which I can then deploy easily to RPG. I don't have a workspace set up, so it's not going to work in this case. All right. So now we will go back to the slides. And what you can see in the slide, just one more slide to continue on the conversation of the proxy creation. So once you have a proxy, you use that to add policies, author policies to do the data transformation, apply security as you need for your APIs. Gemini Code Assist now also helps you to author those policies so that you don't have to remember the syntax, you don't have to write all the XML yourself. You can simply ask Gemini that has been fine-tuned on RPG documentation to provide policies as you need. You can also leverage Gemini to explain existing policies so that you can come quickly up to speed if you take over some policies or proxies from others, or you have perhaps authored that a while ago and you don't remember anymore. All right, so just to wrap up the user journey one that we saw, what we have started with is Hannah has started creating, before she started creating the API, she leveraged the API hub catalog and the semantic search to confirm that there is no duplicate API that would already fulfill her needs. It took her just seconds to create the initial draft of the API. And she easily iterated on that using multiple prompts and the prompt history. She built a consistent API with all the other APIs in her enterprise, reusing objects, reusing security schemas for a great developer experience. All that within minutes. And beyond that, once she has been ready to deploy this API and author the proxy, she was able to use Gemini Code Assist to create policies to secure and govern her API, bringing Gemini Code Assist help throughout the entire lifecycle of APIs. Now I will invite Pramod to share how Gemini Code Assist helps build you integrations. All right. Go ahead.
Thank you, Michael. That was a cool demo of how Gemini is assisting developers to actually consistently build API definitions, deploy them throughout the API lifecycle. Great. Once you have an API definition, you need to go and implement the API, right? There should be a microservice, there should be some automation, something in the back which executes your business logic when you call the API. That's what we are going to see. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue the role play of the same symbol eats. In this case, I'm going to change hats from Hannah to Seth. I'm a new employee who joined Symbol Eats. Symbol Eats has a lot of applications like each one of you here. Like they use Salesforce, they use Jira, Zendesk, PubSub, which is a true story. And I don't know for what they use each of those applications. I could spend months and months learning, okay, they use Salesforce for CRM, they use Zendesk for tickets, all of it. I need to go and understand Zendesk or Jira's configuration, how is it set up, how is it used within Symbol Eats. But the problem is I don't have so much time. Okay? That's the context which I am in. And the scenario which I'm going to continue is Symbol Eats, as Michael talked about, is a restaurant which allows food delivery. Whenever you are ordering food, there is always unhappy customers, right? Like wrong food gets delivered, the food doesn't come hot, or something happens with what I actually ordered. So I have been tasked as Seth, let's go and automate the business process for handling unhappy customers. Okay? That's all I've been told. I could spend months to learn, but let's see how Gemini is actually going to help me accelerate in this particular journey. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually jump from my slides to the actual demo. So if you can bring up the laptop on the screen, please. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is I have already created, this is application integration for folks who have not heard about. Application integration is a first-class Google Cloud service that lets you automate your business processes while integrating into your enterprise applications. And as you could see here, it's basically a drag and drop user experience. It supports various set of triggers, which is what Aditya talked about. It can take messages, it could take events from your SaaS apps, it could be a webhook, all of it. And you could actually go and build strong orchestration logics. Like you could do drag and drop data mapping between schema between two different systems. All of that visually driven is what actually application integration enables. Okay? So instead of actually going and building from scratch, this is where I'm going to actually go and talk about Gemini. But before I go into Gemini, let's see. Application integration also supports like 60 to 100 set of connectors which we have pre-built. It includes all your enterprise applications, SaaS apps, databases, messaging systems. And in this case, for Symbol Eats, I have already pre-created connections in case of Jira, Zendesk, all of that, which Symbol Eats is what they are using. And also, Michael talked about API Hub. These are the various set of APIs, of course. Because Symbol Eats is doing food delivery, there is a food delivery API. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go and start asking Gemini to help me handle that business process of going and managing unhappy customers. So I'm going to go and do, give it a prompt. In this case, I'm going to copy a prompt. Let's look at the prompt on screen. All I'm saying is create an issue when a new case is created in Salesforce and send an email. So whenever customers are unhappy within the app, they could go and raise a particular kind of a support issue saying that, okay, wrong food got delivered, and looks like that gets created inside Salesforce. But behind the scenes, I'm actually using Jira for assigning projects to handle unhappy customers, right? So the Salesforce is where the case gets created, but internally Symbol uses Jira to actually manage all the project assignments. So I'm going to assign it to somebody so that they could actually reach out to this customer and solve the problem. So that's the business process which I'm going to talk. So what happens is now when I give the prompt is actually passed on to Gen AI, and AI is actually going and understanding all the context which was provided and gives me a flow. In this case, it looks pretty simple. It's a 3-step process. It actually has a case which is listening on Salesforce. This is the trigger. It actually goes and creates an issue and also goes and sends an email. As you could see, the process itself is a 3-step process, right? It was pretty simple. It took a prompt and converted that into a visual representation. But the key aspect is it was able to go one step further. It understood that I said Salesforce, so it actually automatically created a Salesforce trigger, which means that it actually automatically did change data capture on Salesforce. It's just not that. It went and created variables which you will receive whenever a new case is created on Salesforce. All of this automatically. I did not do anything. I just joined Symbol, and I said, please help me trigger a business process whenever a new case gets created. And it automatically went and do that. And similarly, if you see, I said create an issue, it automatically understands that issue is an object in Jira, and it actually went and created a connection for me to go and create an issue inside Jira. I'm going to put this to test, okay? I'm going to go and give it a different prompt. It's the same prompt, but different. I'm going to go ahead and say, create a new case. As you could see, I transposed the prompt. I'm basically showing that this is a real demo. I transposed the prompt instead of saying create a new issue. When a new case is created, I'm saying create a new case first. When in Salesforce, create a new ticket. The key aspect is the flow itself looks pretty similar to what you saw previously. It should be like present on Salesforce, go ahead and do that. But the key aspect here is, again, here it has the context of your organization. When I said create ticket, it knows, if you are familiar with Jira, Jira doesn't have a concept called as ticket. Okay? Jira has a concept called as issue, which is what it did last time. But if you are familiar with Zendesk, Zendesk calls the same thing as ticket. Okay? Because I had both a Jira connection as well as a Zendesk connection, it was intelligent enough to actually tell me which is the right application to use for based on my prompt. Right? That's what you see. That's what we call as the organizational context. So it's all grounded. It's not connecting to any randomly suggesting. It is looking into your data, your API, your connections, and actually going and doing it. But it's just not that. It is a true companion. It's not that you know everything what you want to develop in one prompt. Right? You are actually going to go and do iterative development. That's what we are going to see. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to go ahead and ask Gemini to help me expand this particular flow. In this case, because the customer is unhappy, I'm going to go ahead and give them a free food to be ordered. Who doesn't like free food, right? So that's what I'm going to do. Again, the process itself is a single step here. I could have done it, but the key aspect is it actually goes, understands what was said in the prompt, takes the natural language, and actually converts that into flows. In this case, as you could see, it just gave me a branch saying that, okay, all you asked is to go ahead and send a free food. The key aspect here is, again, not the free food alone. It will actually go ahead and look for any other recommendations it has. Like, is there an API? Is there a connection which matches to this? As you could see, it actually went into API Hub. I had a food delivery API, and it is recommending, oh, looks like the prompt which you gave could be fulfilled by actually calling this API, which is there inside your organization. Imagine now if I had to do this manually. I had to go out and call up Michael. Michael is sitting in some team to know, oh, is there an API, which operation, all of it. So when I actually go out and select this, oh, what happened to my screen? Oh, okay, something happened. Let's try the prompt again. Now you can know that it's live. It doesn't like me talking, looks like. I should have clicked it soon enough. So let's try this time. So it should, again, when I select it, it automatically not just rechanged it, it actually configured even the API endpoint. Okay, like this is the food delivery API. Let's see if it's intelligent, if Gemini is intelligent enough. This is the food delivery API. Let me get to here. See the YAML. As you could see, it's api.example.com. That's what it actually got configured. Okay. Now you can understand the power of Gemini with organizational context. So I went from a simple prompt to generate a visual automation flow. It actually had context of all the connections which I used, be it Jira. I put it to test in front of you that I changed the issue word to a ticket. It was intelligent enough to change that connection from Jira to Zendesk because it actually goes and talked about Zendesk. And AI as a true companion is there along with me completing all the flow. So in this case, I just, okay. It doesn't really like me talking. So in this case, AI was a true companion to actually go out and complete my flow, and it had knowledge beyond connections into APIs. So it understood, and it just not had the context, it went and even configured that particular task with the right endpoint, the right method, all of that. Imagine I saved possibly 3 months of time or 5 months of time in actually building a very simple flow. It's a 3-step flow, but if I did not know any of these, I would have spent time to actually even go out and understand. That's what you saw in the thing. It's just not that. We have more of it, which like you could actually go out and generate documentation, like how many of you like doing documentation? No, none of us like doing test cases or documentation as developers. Imagine that Gemini could actually go out and create documentation of your business processes. Okay? So that's the power of taking time back and giving you time to be much more productive here. So let me get, you saw the demo. Let's get back on the slide to summarize what we just saw. Okay, so the key takeaways what you saw in the demo was from a simple prompt, it was able to go out and take your natural language and turn that into a business process flow. It was able to be proactive. It was able to recommend what was the actual task to be done. You saw that when I clicked on it, it said, oh, fulfill this with a REST API. It had this enterprise context in terms of your organization connections. It had your enterprise context with respect to your APIs. And more importantly, it can give you time back by actually doing documentation or even generating test cases for it. Okay? That's the power of Gemini, which is there within application integration. And of course, you saw the demo with respect to RPG. With that, just to wrap it up, we are super excited to be announcing the launch of Gemini Code Assist to build APIs and integrations. Grounded with your organizational context. It is right inside your developer workflow. If you are inside Google Cloud Console, you saw the demo where it is there. If you are in VS Code, it is actually right there. So you're not switching back between tools. It is right to help you and providing assistance. And of course, it goes beyond just generating specs. It is integrated into the entire life cycle. So from open API to actual implementation. That's what it is. So we are super excited. This is going to be all available in public preview. So log into RPG, log into application integration, give it a try. We'll be very happy to hear from you, your feedback, and how we can actually go ahead and make it much more better.